Everybody, and this is Dave Stevens, Thursday night, and that music that you hear, yeah, it is a little bit of the catwalk. That's because our guest tonight were supposed to be our guest last week, but due to unfortunate circumstances, but hey, we're talking about this week, and this is Dave Stevens. You've joined me for Dave Stevens Speaks. Thank you for everybody out there listening to River West Radio on WXRW. You're following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all those good places. And, of course, I want to say hello to our friends at the Disability Channel who are joining us. And let's get right to it because I'm so excited to finally have our guest tonight. And so hello, everybody out there in TV land. Right now, I have Aaron Sanandres, and I'm going to try to bring in Chris. Let's see if Chris pops in here. Chris, do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you hear me? All right. Well, we'll come back to him later. Maybe he can try the link on his cell phone. But let's just get started. So, Aaron, thanks for joining me here on Dave Stevens Speaks this week.
Hey,
so,
thanks for having me, Dave.
And, we're going to, hopefully Chris can, I'll try to see if I can text him the link. And then he can try it on his cell phone here. So hold on with me. This is live radio, live TV. But Aaron, you guys started out, small time, literally. I mean, you guys were working out of an apartment. Like, how did this all start in 2008 and to take us where we are today?
Okay, well, this is a question that Chris would be perfectly poised to answer, but let me try. So Chris and I met in business school, 2007. We'd always talked about doing something together, something entrepreneurial. We'd taken an entrepreneurial management class. And so after we graduated, that was 2008, we'd meet every 3 to 6 months and talk about potential businesses. And most of them were merely, call it half-baked ideas, nothing really stuck. And then we kind of went silent. And then I got a call from Chris. I will never forget it. I'm in Boston Airport, Logan Airport on a business trip. And Chris calls me. And when he dials in, you'll know that I sound just like him when I do my impersonation. But Chris is like, "Hey, man, you ever wear your shirt untucked?" And that's all he said. And I'm like, I'm in. Like, it was one of these, Dave, it was a primal reaction. Mine was a visceral reaction. I got it. It's like, whoa. The answer was no, I never wore my shirt untucked because I could never find a shirt that looked good untucked. And it was one of those problems that you had and you never really voiced, you never really talked about. But if anyone mentioned it or if you saw someone with their shirt untucked, like secretly in the back of your head, you're going, damn, that's a great look. Like, it just doesn't work for me. And so from there we said, look, let's do this thing. And we had no fashion experience whatsoever. But we had gone to business school, so we thought that we could do anything. And we wrote a business plan. We raised $150,000. There he is. We raised, Chris, I'm just going through, we raised $150,000 from friends and family. We designed a shirt. We ordered some fabric. We knew, again, when I say we knew nothing, it'll come full circle because we didn't realize fabric shrinks. We didn't realize a whole bunch of things. But we ordered some fabric and we started selling shirts. And the reactions that we were getting from customers, like yourself, Dave, really were like, where have you been my whole life? And it was that sort of reaction that even though we were selling 5 shirts a month or 30 shirts a month or whatever it was those types of reactions that kind of kept us going. And so we kept making more shirts and selling very little, but still selling out of the products that we had. And it wasn't until we said, you know what, let's start marketing. Let's take this message out, right? We started UNTUCKit because we had trouble finding shirts that look good untucked. And shirts just aren't designed that way. And once we took that message to the masses, that's when things kind of blew up.
Well, I'm so excited. Chris, you're here. You've joined us tonight. So hi, Chris. How are you doing tonight? You got us? You hear us? You got everything going?
I can't hear you now.
Oh, no.
I can hear you, Aaron.
You can hear me. You just can't hear Dave.
Well, that's good. Okay. So if you want to relay it to Chris, Aaron, how did he invent UNTUCKit?
So, Chris, the question to you is, where did you come up with that amazing idea of wearing a shirt untucked?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm trying one more thing, but for me, tell me if you can't hear me, so I don't
I
keep
will.
talking,
I will
Aaron.
tell you.
It's funny because uh, as an entrepreneur, you always have ideas, but the difference between an entrepreneur and everyone else in the world is that only entrepreneurs actually act on these ideas. Everyone has a great idea. It's just people who actually move forward with them. And 6 years before I kind of made the call to Aaron, I had always thought about this. I had a problem with my shirts being too long, but I said, how am I going to do it? I don't know anything about fashion. I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about any of the stuff that I need to know to launch a brand. But finally, I said, I got to do it, right? I got to try it. And I always needed a shirt to be worn untucked. Like this was my whole life post college. For some reason, it didn't exist, and I was thinking it must not exist because it can't be done, or it's being done, or some reason that I don't know. Because that's everyone who's an entrepreneur who has an idea has thought of it before me, and that's the funny thing about UNTUCKit. The amount of people Aaron and I meet who say, "Oh, I was going to do that. I was going to do that. I was going to do that," and because it's such a simple idea on paper. But bottom line is, as an entrepreneur, you look for things that solve your problem. And as trivial as it is, a shirt designed to be worn untucked at the right length was one of my current problems. So, the good thing was, if you go 20 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do this. 20 years ago, you needed to raise a lot of money. You need to sell in a brick and mortar store. You didn't have ways to market. You'd have to buy billboards. You have to buy real expensive magazines. Because of the internet now, anybody who has an idea can create a message around it, raise a little bit of money, and sit and market on Facebook, and it gives them a chance. And that's what I think so excited about being an entrepreneur today.
The interesting thing that I'll add is, even though that is true, and most people who start businesses do start marketing on Facebook, our first paid marketing step was actually radio. So we went and decided to market on radio, and so that was our first Boomer and Carton. Back in the day in New York City, it was one of these stations, sports radio, talk radio. We thought about common denominator among our consumer base. Sports with guys is generally a pretty good common denominator. And we just came up with our 30-second elevator pitch. That became our radio spot. And really, that was the beginning of our marketing. It wasn't until 2 years later we actually started getting into digital, and really kind of sharpening our teeth and talons on the digital side. But we started old school.
Well, for you guys, Aaron, I've witnessed how you guys have grown, and it's just been so quickly. I mean, it's been 5 years, and you guys now have 87 stores. I mean, how do you get the success like that in brick and mortar so quickly?
So it's funny to talk about success in brick and mortar in the middle of a retail pandemic. But the short answer is, most of our customers, I can't speak for other brands, right? But most of our customers wanted to touch and feel the product before they bought. I think there was, and maybe it's different now, I don't know, probably not. But when people hear online brand, they immediately think, okay, well, it's got to be cheap, right? It's just online. People wanted to have some ability to touch it. They wanted some sort of association, brand association. And so when we opened our first pop-up in Soho, it was important that we were in Soho and not on a side street, Howard Street in Soho, like downtown, like right in Prince and Worcester, which is a phenomenal street in Soho. At least it was back when we launched in 2015. And so opening that store, when you realize the reaction you get from your customer base, which for us was a much higher average basket size, it was quicker time to repeat, and it was just a more significant engagement with the brand than we could ever hope to provide online. It was kind of a light bulb. We were like, geez, we should be doing more of these, right? Because for us, when you think about like becoming a truly omni business, and we went from digital to retail, digital to brick and mortar, to be a truly omni business, you need to be convenient. And to be convenient, you need to be everywhere, right? You really need to have a presence in stores as well as online.
Well, it's been a great success, and I'm so glad you guys could be with me. My guest tonight, Chris Riccobono, Aaron Sanandres, the founders of UNTUCKit, and I want to bring Chris back in. I think you're there, Chris. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. Can't hear Aaron, but I can hear you.
Okay. Wow, who cares about
Still
Aaron?
haven't sorted through that.
Oh, now I can hear. I can hear everyone now.
All right.
All right.
All right. Here we go. Now I can just get everybody back here. Okay. So now, Chris, you guys, again, early in these times, I mean, you were working, I think, with GE Healthcare in 2001, and you had started like a wine blog, and you did all these kind of things. So where did you think you could become a genius and invent these amazing shirts that I'll show the viewers that, again, I wear these things, and if you've seen that I have half a body, it makes me look good. And I know this isn't a commercial tonight, but it really has given me the comfort. And you take a look at what you've done, and it seems so basic. So how did you come up with this?
I put that on. Well, yeah, it's kind of like I was saying. I was in GE Healthcare, but I wanted to get out of corporate America. I wasn't meant for corporate America. In my mind, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to work for myself. And I actually was at GE, went to Columbia to buy some time to learn different things, marketing, finance, all the different things you need to be an entrepreneur. And I didn't have an idea. So I said, okay, I love wine. And that's about all my expertise is at the time outside of business. So I said, let me start a video wine blog. I can't imagine many people will listen, but at least I learned how to start a website. I learned how to try to get a following on Facebook. Aaron's laughing when he says, can't imagine a lot of people would listen.
Well, no, Chris got 5,000 more people than I would have thought he would have gotten to listen. So
yeah.
kudos to that, man.
But it gave me the confidence to start something, right? Even though it wasn't going to make me any money, it gave me the confidence to learn how to launch a website. So that's when I knew, like I said, I've always had the shirt problem. I said, I know I can now market on Facebook, launch a video wine blog. It's time to try something new. And that's when I called Aaron at Columbia, my Columbia classmate. We had always talked about all these ideas, probably one dumber than the next that never went anywhere. And it was shirts. But what's funny about the shirts, Dave, is when we tried to raise money to launch the business, we would go to different people, most of them older, because typically older people have more money. They like to invest. And they were laughing at us saying, what are you talking about? A shirt designed to be worn untucked. They said, you think I'm going to give you 15 grand to make a shorter shirt? And these guys were just laughing at us. And Aaron, of course, were taking their names down. So one day if we made it, we could, joke around with them. But eventually, with only 150 grand, most retail businesses launch with north of $1 million. We figured it out, we marketed, and the rest is history. The response was just amazing. People were emailing us, thanking us for coming up with these shirts.
Well, it really is. I mean, for me, and I know I say it a lot to you guys, and I appreciate so much what you've done and how I look and everything, but it is real. I mean, it's a genuine good look, and it seems like it should have been done and created so many years ago. But now you guys haven't done business the right way. Aaron, when you came in, you guys fired your PR firm. You clean slate and started over. I mean, how do you start an organization when you suddenly are wiping out people who supposedly know their jobs?
Well, so fire is a strong word, Dave. I think we agreed to part ways. And the reason was, and candidly, right, so doing it what I'll call the traditional way is more grassroots. It's getting a placement in Us Weekly. It's getting on the Today Show. It's the things that help build brands. And so we were getting that. And so for our PR firm, they were, in their eyes, they were very successful. But what we would see would be the wave of, the show would go, you'd sell 100 shirts, and then it's gone. It's like a wave, right? You're in the ocean and a wave passes and it's not coming back. And so we basically decided, look, we don't have a lot of budget. We had $7,000 a month that we were paying for our PR firm, which for them they were taking us on half price. For us, it was probably $5,000 more than we could afford. And we just decided, look, we want to control our destiny a little bit more. because there was this frustration where we wanted something every week, and recognizing now that's just not realistic, but that's what we needed as a young brand. And so we said, look, let's take that money, let's get some radio ads, and we did, and they worked. Let's get some more radio ads, and they did, and they worked. Then we said, let's go to some TV, and let's go, not TV, sorry, TV came later. Let's go to some airline magazine ads, and we did, and it worked. And again, it worked because, as Chris said, if you solve a problem and you can communicate your differentiation, it makes all the difference. Now, the funny thing is, just to go back to Chris raising money, when people would say, well, okay, and they'd pretend like they were actually seriously contemplating it. And they'd say, well, so what makes you different? And everyone is all about barriers to entry, right? That's, if you watch Shark Tank, everyone's all about barriers to entry. Unless you're making like a nuclear power plant, it can be copied. So they're like, what are your barriers to entry? Like, what are you doing that's different? And I just remember laughing to myself, thinking of Chris and I going, like, well, the shirt's shorter. He's like, but can a shirt just be hemmed? And the short answer, the truth is no. You can't just hem a shirt shorter and have it work. There's all this intricacies of the collar falling differently, but nobody would believe it. And you just hear Chris being like, well, the shirt's like a living organism, right? And you can't just lop off and the arm and expect this to fit. And people just were not buying it. But ultimately, when people put our shirts on, they recognize it's not just a shorter shirt. Right, just a shorter shirt is easy. It's a lot more that you get with the brand. You get a shirt that fits. You get all different shapes and sizes, and you get quality that fortunately for us, puts us above a lot of our competitors.
Now, Chris, you've also had the opportunity recently, since the success of having a guy like Wayne Gretzky be a part of it, and I mean. That's just amazing to think somebody who's been around so long would see such a product and want to be a part of it. I mean, talk about that special relationship you guys have put together.
Sports fan and to have an opportunity, the fact that first of all, the funny thing about us, and I know you're a massive sports guy, is one day we were talking about the ambassadors. Like, we have the guy with the most touchdowns ever and the guy with the most goals ever. And they're both ambassadors of UNTUCKit, which is pretty cool. And now, I don't know if you watch soccer at all, but we also have the guy who just set the record or tied the record for the most assists ever in the Premier League. So it's kind of funny, but it's been fun with those guys. But it's both of them uniquely kind of, in a way, reached out to us. Drew flat out reached out to us, said, I love your shirts. I want to meet at the Super Bowl. And that was a pretty cool moment that one of the greatest quarterbacks you'd ever play the game sought us out. And he's a big entrepreneur. And the Wayne story is that his wife went into St. Louis and she bought 15 shirts for Wayne. And then we sell scotch and we serve scotch in all our stores. She came back the next day and brought the team a bottle of signed Wayne Gretzky scotch. When I found that out, I found a way to get in touch with his agent, and his agent said, trust me, he doesn't do deals like this. It's not worth me bothering. I said, just give him a call. He called me back. He said, man, he loves your shirts. He wants to be involved. So they both invested in the company, significant amounts of money, and are ambassadors, but they love the product so much. It doesn't feel like they're paid ambassadors because, like I said, they have skin in the game. And it's been fun to work with them.
I've been so blessed. The things that I've done in the last 2 years, thanks to you guys, I don't go anywhere without wearing your clothes. If I'm with Larry Fitzgerald or the Vikings or Russell Wilson or all these guys, I think people forget I don't have legs when they see, because I look so good in the upper part of my body. But I do. I appreciate what you guys have done, and again, the schools that I go to, when I talk to schools and I talk to kids, and they're all freaked out about seeing a guy without legs. But again, I feel comfortable. I feel confident. You guys even hooked me up. When I had to go to cover a Giants Jets game. These kind of things, and I'm wearing a suit coat, and I'm not comfortable wearing a suit coat, and suddenly it's not dragging and I don't feel good, and so it's been amazing just for my own confidence to be able to, utilize this product. And for more information, our listeners and watchers, can go to UNTUCKit.com for more information. There's all kinds of things we'll talk about coming up after 8 o'clock. But Chris, it's really a challenge right now. You guys were really, I listen to you guys on Howard Stern, and I'm always calling you going, hey, the ad isn't right. You're up to 85, and they've got 54, but you guys keep expanding, and especially in these times, it's got to be a challenge. I've seen it in Hartford, I've seen it in all the other places, but you're still succeeding.
Yeah, look, it is definitely a challenge. But the good news is every week that passes, more people venture out. There is a vaccine, and the correlation between retail traffic and safety and the sense of or confidence in being safe is highly correlated. So once we get a vaccine, we know people are going to come back. We do, and I don't know, Dave, if you ever gotten one of our surveys, but we do a lot of surveys to our customers, asking them, pulse surveys. What do they think about retail? What do they think about going to stores? And we found that 75% of our customers want to go to stores, like actively want to go to stores, but they need to feel safe. And there's only so much we can do, and we do a lot. All of our store associates wear masks. They all, they steam all the shirts before and after they come into the try-on room, the fitting room. They clean and wipe down all the counters. You get a shirt in an actual bag, right? So it's really never been touched when you buy a shirt. So we can do only what we can do, but ultimately people want to feel safe, right? And I don't think that's going to happen to any large extent until there's a vaccine or until we start to see some pretty dramatic shifts in the COVID death rates.
And Chris, you guys have gone to London. I mean, that must have been exciting to start opening up overseas where Brits think they know fashion. I mean, that's got to be really cool for you.
Going overseas was Aaron and I talked about it, was one of the coolest moments. You talk about all these different things that have happened, and we went over there for the launch, and to think we're in England. We started this thing out of Hoboken in a third bedroom of my apartment, and to think that we are now international with 2 stores opening. And we're really excited. Pre-corona, we had a plan to open up in about 15 different European cities, and it's still going to happen. It's going to be delayed, but we're really excited. I mean, the day we open in Dublin and Amsterdam, and I mean, the fact that we're a global brand that once again was started in an apartment, and one day we'll tell you those stories because they're kind of funny of me and Aaron trying to ship 600, 700, 800 boxes in my hallway and lining them up and having my neighbors say, "What are you guys doing? You got to get these out of here." And but part of England was one of the most proud or positive moments in UNTUCKit so far.
Well, it's been just fabulous to watch. When I met Aaron, when I went to New York, and Aaron's like, "Hey, go down to the store." So I go down to the store in Soho, and I walk in, and they're handing me alcohol and shots, and I'm like, I start posing.
Good to hear.
And then all of a sudden, Dean Winters, the guy from Mayhem and all these other TV commercials in Oz, walks in with his dad. And for our viewers, you can see it on the screen, but he's the Mayhem guy, and he walks in, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just here to get some shirts because my dad loved the shirts." I mean, that was just unsolicited. So, I mean, the customer experience is, something like I haven't really ever experienced in other stores because men don't shop for clothes like that. So it was really neat how you guys have taken that approach. That's probably not a lot like other male clothing stores.
Well, good to hear that. And that was not set up, by the way. So we couldn't have planned that any better.
So as we wrap up here on this side of the hour, what's next for you guys? Chris, what I know you can't really jump and do things, but where do you hopefully see UNTUCKit in 5-10 years?
Well, next for us was easy. Like I said, we were going to open up another 20 stores in the U.S. and another 15 in Europe, and we were growing faster than we ever had. Obviously, we've hit this major bump in the road, as has every single business out there. I shouldn't say every single business, but most businesses during Corona. So right now, we're just trying to hunker down, get through Corona, and then we'll begin our growth again and go right back to what we were doing, start back in international expansion, and get back to what we were doing here. I don't know, I wasn't on early when Aaron started, but right now it's tough because people aren't wearing button-down shirts as much. I mean, look at me and Aaron. We started UNTUCKit, and this is what we're.
I thought about putting on a button-down shirt, to be honest with you.
Well, I can.
They're both UNTUCKit. They're both
say,
Yeah, you look great.
I'll pose, right? Like, huh?
They're both UNTUCKit.
Now, my fans keep asking, when do I get to show up in a commercial or be in the print ad? You know, or you can superimpose legs or do something. I mean,
you gotta bump Chris out of there, man. It ain't gonna happen.
I see you guys. Is that how you guys save money early on? Is being the models for your own stuff?
I think we did try, Chris. Did we try having you in the shirt?
That didn't work. For an actual still shot.
Stills for our e-com, and you just have a newfound respect for any sort of e-commerce model, because even just standing there is not easy. It's not easy to get the shirt to look the way you want it. So, but yeah, we tried, but ultimately decided to fork out the amount you need to hire a model and hire a photographer and do it right.
Well, Aaron, you've gone from Chicago to Florida. I know you're a Cubbies guy, but are you going to embrace Florida teams during the postseason or anything here? Or?
You know, I have. I'm going to hold judgment for now. Look, I haven't still gotten over my Yankees, so moving to Chicago from New York, so that's been a tough one to let go of.
And Chris, I know sports is a big part of your life. Has baseball felt real to you, or is this just like a PlayStation tournament? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Such a great question, and I wonder what you feel like. I can't get into it as now. You know, I was a baseball fan that didn't miss a pitch type thing when it came to the playoffs, and right now I'm having a tough time with it. Although each as we get a little deeper, I think you get more into it. And not because it doesn't mean that if they win, we'll look back. Whoever wins will look back. It'll just be lost just like a lockout season. But there's something about watching it for me. Like I loved the quote unquote, it sounds weird, the sounds of the game. Joe Buck and McCarver calling and the fans and there's something different now when you watch it. Now the NFL I think feels more real than anything, and I think I don't know why, but to me, at least personally.
I think it's cameras. I think the NFL's got great camera movement, and it's just always feels good.
The NBA, I'm not a LeBron guy, and I'm root against him. This annoys me because I feel like if with fans in the arena, this would have been a different story, right? NBA to me is the fake. It just doesn't feel real at all, right? It feels like a bunch of guys in the gym.
And in a bubble, without the bubble, you're cutting out all those, things that happen with the schedule and, flying and all that stuff. So it's just, it's the best of the best. And I think for baseball, it's almost like a World Baseball Classic. It's like, okay, guys, everybody go at it and there'll be a champion at the end of this thing. So
it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing because that period there was nothing was painful.
It's given us some hope, something to watch, especially with all the other chaos and everything. It gives us still a little bit of escape. College football has helped a little bit too. Yep. And as we wrap up, we got about a minute. Aaron, I want to know from you, what's been your favorite part of UNTUCKit?
Ooh. So look, let me take a little bit of that minute, Dave, and just give a shout out to you on your own show. A little plug for you, man. What you are doing with Dave Stevens Speaks and New Ability is nothing short of awesome. So I want to be as supportive as we can in any way, always. And I want you to know that. It's absolutely, it's just emotionally charged to see what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
I second that for the record. It's much more impressive than what we've done.
Well,
yeah. Look, for me, I think sometimes I take it back when we were in the office. Sometimes Chris and I will be in the corner of the office talking about something. We'll just look across and see our employees laughing and just having a great time, and there's 100 of them right in the office, and it's just, you think back and you're like, wow, like it is amazing to think that not only did we create this, but we created an environment where our employees love it.
All right, well, we're going to continue for a few minutes. I appreciate Chris Riccobono and Aaron Sanandres joining me, the guys who founded and invented UNTUCKit. Don't forget to follow Dave Stevens Speaks and continue to support our channels on the Disability Channel. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all those wonderful places that are on the internet. So we're going to continue for a little bit. on the rest of the digital side. But thank you on River West Radio 104.1 WXRW. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Still here for a few minutes. If you guys still have a few more minutes to hang out?
Yeah, sure.
Be real quick. I like to be able to take it over to it's the lighter side now, so we can kind of talk about anything that we want to talk about. I'm not limited to doing unshamely promotion for UNTUCKit. Again, you can go to UNTUCKit.com and make sure. Now, the things you guys do too, man. You guys, if you go onto UNTUCKit, most of the times, if it's your first time on there, you get 20% off your order. And for everybody that's in the military and a first responder, you get 25% off your order. So it's just stuff that people don't publicize that UNTUCKit does. And I know you guys give a lot and you guys do a lot of good things, but there's just those little things. So go to UNTUCKit.com. If you haven't joined it, your first order is 20% off if you go right now. And if you're a first responder and in the military, you get 25% off. So, what are some of the great things, Chris, that you've been able to do now with being a CEO of UNTUCKit, and things that you never thought you could do, growing up, the good impact that you can make?
Well, I mean, it's just some of it's, you get more. Aaron and I both, you get some more access to different things. When I say access to different people who can teach us, and different entrepreneurs and different. A lot of people are interested in the story of UNTUCKit. So when we're interested in other brands, we have these great relationships with the brand. All these brands that you would know, the ones that are similar to us over the last 10 years. That's pretty cool. I think it's kind of a cool little group of people who can share different ideas. But outside of that, we're still battling here. It's been a very challenging few months, so we spend most of our time working.
Now, Aaron, have you enjoyed, obviously COVID and everything isn't good, but I've rediscovered fishing. I've discovered this old rock group from the 70s, Dr. Hook. I mean, has there been, you guys probably both as parents have reconnected with your kids, so there's got to be some good that's come out of this bad.
Oh, look, I think it's tough to appreciate it, Dave, but at some point we'll look back and we'll say, wow, I had a chance to spend a year every single day with my kids and my wife, which is, it's you're just never going to have that back. It's just not going to happen again. So I think, look, there's that ability to look back and take advantage of the time. I think it's easy. And look, I'm guilty. It's not like every Tuesday we have family game night. Every Wednesday we have movie night. Like, we get lost in our own house, in our own apartment, just like the next person. But even though we do, the amount of time that we've spent together as a family, I think, is pretty special.
And Chris, you've got 3 little ones. I mean, that's got to be fun. You almost maybe want to go back to the office every now and then.
I got 3 under 3. I had one in quarantine, and for the record, because we want to see my parents and my wife's parents to help us out a little bit, we literally have been in quarantine for 6 months. I mean, I have not done anything because we don't want to put our older parents. Our kids are not in any type of school or any type of daycare, and since March 13th. The day the Big East, I went to Providence College, so I'll never forget the day the Big East tournament got canceled. I have not been to a restaurant. I have not been inside a food store. We order, so it's been rough. And 3 kids under 3 is, Now I've heard every father say when their kids are older, man, I wish I spent more time with them when they were little, and I wish I wasn't at work as much. So I can say that I'm there every step of the way. For the first few years for my kids. So that's great, but I can't lie and pretend that it is not almost impossible.
I'll ask you a question, and Aaron, you can answer it first, and Chris, you can answer it second. This is a new world, and you've got to do business in a new way. So what are the biggest challenges for now doing this job remotely or virtually or whatever? What are the biggest challenges going forward for UNTUCKit?
Look, I think I would say, I could list 1,000, but I'll limit it to 2. First one is keeping engaged with your employees. I think it's when you're in an office, there's just nothing like it. And I was talking a little bit about it before. it's just very isolating to work from home and to have the same expectations around engagement and levels of productivity that we expect. So challenging to be in this situation. We have very good friends of ours that work with us whose parents have passed away, whose grandparents have passed away, and at the same time we're asking them to focus more and to work harder and to help us kind of get through this. And so that's just a very challenging thing to ask anybody to do. So that's one big one. And then, clearly trying to create some in-store experience for online shoppers is another one. And so, one of the things that we realized is our stores, like, you cannot get fit for your shirt better than when you go to a store. We're not custom tailoring, but you feel like you're getting a custom shirt because we have so many different sizing options. And so online, it's trying to bring that experience to our online shopper. And so we do now, you can chat with the store associate. Soon you'll be video chatting with the store associate. And so until people feel comfortable going to stores, at least they can dial up their local store manager and have him or her show you what's new in the store and maybe even pour a glass of scotch and pour it out for you until you can get there in person.
This is my son, Charlie. He said hi.
Hi, Charlie.
This
How
is
are
the
you,
story
Dad?
of the Zoom call these days.
How are
Say
you,
hi.
my friend?
Say hi. LSU shirt on. I don't know why.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
So,
So
Chris,
yeah, I'd echo Aaron's response. I mean, you feel very disconnected from the team now, and that's the hardest, because we had one of the greatest cultures, in my opinion, that you could have. Everyone treated it like their own company. Everyone was engaged and excited, as we were one of the fastest retail brands, growing retail brands. So right now, it's just really everyone feels disconnected, and that's what's challenging.
Yeah.
well, I just know that it's a good product, and I hopefully everything sort of gets back to normal here in the next few months. A lot of good things are being announced today, and in the next hopefully upcoming days of getting back to some normalcy and allowing you guys now. Are there going to be? Do you guys feel any pressure that are there other companies out there trying to undercut you and sell cheaper shirts that are untucked, or are you guys kind of monopolizing it right now so far? Because I haven't seen a lot of competitors, other than the $2 shirt at Walmart. But who's going to wear that kind of crap? So
We are in a cutthroat industry, Dave. We are in a very cutthroat industry. So there are always people coming out, and there have been over the last 2 years, probably 30 companies that have now shirts designed to be, or shirts made to be, or shirts, not tucked, no tuck, whatever it is, it's out there, right? I think Chris and I go through this a lot. 8 years ago, if J. Crew came out with a shirt called J. Crew Untucked, which they have, it would have been a death knell, right? It would have been awful. I think now what it does is it actually kind of raises awareness that there is a problem, because there's still a huge cohort of guys out there who don't see the problem. And it's kind of like, once you do, you're like that kid from The Sixth Sense, right? Like, oh my God, it's everywhere. But if you don't think it's a problem, you just don't appreciate it. And until you put our shirts on. And so we've done that, right? We've had naysayers. We've put shirts on them, and they're like, holy shit, this shirt is great. But it takes a little bit of an awareness.
And you get these athletes. When I'm around these athletes, that's one of the first things, like, hey, what's that shirt? They'll touch it. Larry Fitzgerald's like, man, that's a cool T-shirt. And I think they expect me to send it to them or something like that. But,
David Johnson, David Johnson was a kind of a smaller ambassador at some point.
Yeah, it's so awesome, and that's why I said I know this has felt like a 45-minute commercial, but you both really changed my life, and to be able to be so amenable that Aaron, you let me meet with you, and we can pick up the phone and send emails, and I can send jokes and do stupid videos to make fun of how sexy I am in my shirts and things like that. It's been amazing for me to be able to feel that ability where I'm not worried people are staring at me, because I have that, and it's been so amazing. And you guys continue to touch lives, and that's a great thing about UNTUCKit is like for people missing arms and legs, it fits well. Like those with legs that have one leg, they don't like it bunching in their socket. And I've been around the vets and these guys that they really, really love it. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I hope it continues to be a success as long as I'm alive.
Yeah, one thing on that, it's funny because some of the commercials we made come across that we really care about this, and this is a real serious issue. And listen, we're not dumb. We realize especially these days, there's way more serious issues. But it is interesting that we did a survey when we launched in England about confidence, and one of the biggest things was dressing good. Couldn't find clothes that made them feel good. Hard that was, and the difference of putting that you feel good and the amount of confidence when you go out the door. And it was the first time that Aaron said, wow, this is actually serious. Not serious. I want to make sure that serious, relatively speaking. And you just said it. When you have an outfit on, it doesn't matter if you're going for an interview, if you're going to meet a girl, if you're going to your job, you feel so much more confident. And there is data out there that shows that dressing good is tied to more success. So it's great when I hear you say that, and some people laugh and say, oh, come on, it's a shirt. But it really is a little more than a shirt when you find the right shirt for you.
Yeah.
And people are staring at me, and I figure I'm going to give them a show, but now I look a little classier when I'm doing it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, as we wrap up, again, I wanted to thank you guys for taking time out. I know you guys are busy and, looking towards to the future. Just a couple of thoughts you guys want to leave the listeners, the viewers, and all of your, customers out there. A couple of good positive things. Aaron, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think the biggest message is it may feel tough to be positive in times like these, but you need to be, and you need people like you, Dave, to be around.
Yeah, no, I echo that. I know I don't want to come over the top that we're saying how impressive what you've done, but let's call a spade a spade. You were dealt a certain hand, and the way you've handled it, we've watched you and we've talked about you, even before you came in, and it's just way more impressive than anything we've done. And it kind of, to me, when people complain, oh, I'm in the house too long because of Corona, or I'm bored or this and that. Obviously, your life lesson, I think, kind of sums up the way anyone should react when we go through these tough times.
Well, thanks. You're just saying that because I save money on pants, right? So, all right. Well, thank you two for joining
All right,
me.
Dave.
Chris and Aaron, two amazing dudes doing a lot of great work with UNTUCKit, and just continue to go and support them on UNTUCKit.com. Again, first-time users, you sign up, you get an email exchange, you get 20% off. And for all those first responders and firefighters and everybody that are really still out there in the trenches, 25% off. Wear these clothes. I look good. And if I look good in my body, heck, anybody can look good in these things. So you guys take care, and thanks you guys.
All right, you too, David.
Appreciate it again.
Thanks, man.
Follow Dave Stevens Speaks on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all those good things. And I'm going to go back to my modeling days, hopefully. Thank you guys for joining me. Good night.